Welcome to the Loveland Report and Lone Ranger Show. I am Cleve Loveland, Central Florida's voice of real estate, alongside Bruce Woodburn, the Lone Ranger. We're going to talk about your real estate plans. What do you want to accomplish in real estate this year, next year, in 2025? Also, we're going to dig into the inventory numbers, which I have just received in my sticky little fingers. And also, we're going to talk about real estate commission. What should you be paying on that with that new landmark settlement that came through this year? And also 2024 trends into 2025. What do we see going into 2025? Obviously, big effect on that will come from the election. But Bruce, what do you have for today?
All right. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about rates are doing. What are rates doing since the Fed has dropped the Fed rates? We want to cover that. A lot of people are on, on the waiting list to see what's going to happen with the election. We're going to talk about new loan programs that came out. Who's buying, selling right now? Who's refinancing? Should you refinance right now or should you hold off? And then we're going to talk about a couple of new loan programs that we came out with, like a reverse mortgage, second mortgage.
That's
so
funny.
There's a lot of things going on. What's going on with down payment assistance right now? And should a veteran refinance right now or wait for rates to come down a little bit more? We're going to hit all of those and more on the Loveland Report and the Lone Ranger Radio Show. If you'd like to reach Cleve during this show or after hours, he can be reached at 407-352-8118 or cleveloveland.com. If you'd like to talk to the Lone Ranger, Bruce Woodburn, 407-250-9144 or webringyouhome.com. Call or text. Cleve, let's get started on the inventory situation.
Yeah, this is, and I was calling this, this is the most inventory we've had. This is what tells us we got a seller's market or buyer's market. We got about a 5-month supply, and that's what we've had for the last 3 months.
Now, is it quite 5? I thought it was around 4.5.
No, that's 5.1 now.
Is it?
Because the sales have slowed, and sales again, like last year in September, this is through September's numbers, we're probably behind 2023 by about 7 or 8% in total sales. 2,500 sales last September, only 2,300 this September. And even though rates are better, last year they were around 7.25. This is saying in September they're around 6.
Yeah, that right now is September's numbers, and now in October we're going to talk about where those interest rates really sit right now.
But this inventory being the same for the last 4 months, I'm calling a bottom, and I blew it in January, February. I think I called a bottom when our sales beat last year.
Yes.
That wasn't it. Sleepy Joe still had he still woke up and wandered around, bumped in some walls at the White House, did a few more things to mess things up. But this is where, and the Fed, this is what I want to dive in. Like you're talking about what happened to rates was kind of counterintuitive. Everybody's going, oh my gosh, did the Fed cut rates as mortgage rates go down? They didn't.
No.
So talk about that a little bit, because that's kind of
Sure.
I think we're in a drag now a little bit. The winter is usually a little slower. But for us to do more sales in 2025 than we did this year, we need something. We need the Trumpster is what we need.
We absolutely do need something. So it's really interesting because, you guys heard me say even a month to 2 months before the Fed cut that the rates were already built in. Okay. The cut was already built in before the Fed cut the rates. So what has happened since the Fed cut? Well, I told you guys before it even was cut that there could be a possibility that interest rates would increase instead of decrease when the Fed cut the Fed rate. And then I got a lot of phone calls and texts on what's wrong with you? How could that even possibly happen? Well, the bond market right now is down, which is not good for interest rates, is down 280 basis points from the day that the Fed cut the Fed rate. Now, what does that mean for you? And why did it happen? You have to understand why interest rates are impacted with a Fed cut and how they're impacted. So first of all, you have to understand, why does the Fed cut the Fed rate? The answer to that question is to stimulate the economy. And when the economy is stimulated, what do you think happens to the stock market?
More people put money in it, which comes out of bonds.
That's right. So money then shifts from bonds to stocks and then pulls all the energy out of the bond market. And boy, did it suck the energy out of the bond market. So 280 basis points equals 2.8 points that you would pay on the same interest rate from the day that the Fed cut the Fed rate to today.
So instead of rates in the low sixes, we're in the high sixes.
You're back into the mid to high sixes again.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
But this is why they need to call you, Bruce, and get fast tracked. You guys just fast tracked me because I'm going to pick up another investment property, and they need to know, because you can tell them, hey, your score's 650. So your rate is, for example, 7.
There's not a lender in the country that you're going to call and tell you to wait to do a refinance, but I will look at your situation, and I have an extensive watch list of clients that have called me and said, I want to refinance, but I really want to see it hit this rate. So if that's you, you can call your old bank and they're going to tell you refi now. But you call me, I'll put you on my watch list, 407-250-9144 or webringyouhome.com. Now, so since the Fed has dropped the Fed rate, we've seen a decline in the bond market and a substantial increase in interest rates. They're back up now much higher than they were before the Fed cut the Fed rate. Matter of fact, if we look at charts right now, we are back to the same rates that we saw around June 30th. So
yeah, I got it right here. Yeah.
Yep. Around June 30th.
Spring and summer, we were high sixes.
Yeah, that's right. And that's where you're back up to that point again right now. Yeah. Now, I will tell you what's odd right now is that FHA and VA loans are better interest rates than conventional loans. I'm getting people that qualify for conventional that are opting to go FHA because their rate's so much better. Of course, unless you're putting 20% down or something like that. Even then, the rate would be better on FHA or VA. However, I'm seeing a little bit of a slowdown, and people are just sitting on the fence waiting to see what's going to happen with this election. And is that the right thing to do? Well, it may be, it may not be.
It's relative. I think it's 6 of one, half dozen another. Depends on your situation. This is why I talk about real estate
agree
planning.
With that.
Are you buying bigger? Are you selling because the kids are gone and you need to get out of 3,000 square feet and reduce your living expenses and buy 1,500 square feet? You got twins on the way and you need to get out of 1,500 square feet and buy 2,500 square feet. You need to get into closer to work. I just helped a gentleman last night driving an hour each way to Melbourne to work, and he's going to make good money on his house. He bought in 21,
right,
and going to sell now. And we'll dive into some of the other problems he was having in a little bit, but why he did not sell, because one number that's up on my sheets here, Bruce, every month, we got 11,000 homes for sale right now.
Right.
Every month, about 10% of those, no matter what market we're in, good market, bad market, about 10% of what's on the market, people give up. They've been listed for 60, 90 days, maybe even 5-6 months, and they go off the market. And 99% of the time, what I find is not getting the right advice and not getting, not on price, and sometimes it is price.
It might be price.
But not, sometimes the places look like a crime scene. Sometimes they're not being marketed correctly. Sometimes they're locked down. I took a listing the other day. It said that there was a tenant in place. Well, the tenant had moved out 4 months prior.
Oh boy.
That was still in the comments for the listing with the rent and everything. So obviously, and the owner knew nothing about this. They're busy. They're going about, they thought the realtor had it handled. They just thought it was a bad market. And I'm like, no, 10 of your neighbors sold. I'm like, you were getting wrong advice. We actually did a little bit of work. I raised the price.
What do you charge for a consultation for a listing?
Nothing. It's free.
So listen, if you want Cleve to come out and look at your home, price it properly, even if you already have a real estate agent, he can look at the contract and see if you're able to cancel that contract.
And that's one thing to be, the number one rule when you're hiring a realtor, make sure you can fire them with no cost. Read the fine print. Most contracts have a cancellation part, but there's things
you wouldn't hold. If somebody didn't want to do business with you, you let them go.
I've never tried, and I've never had that happen. I've had people change motivation. Say, hey, we're going to rent it. Hey, we're going to wait. Hey, kids are going to move into it. That kind of thing. I'm in business to help people with their real estate plans for their life. And just like you wouldn't tell somebody to refinance just to get a loan because it's not the right time, I would not tell them. I've had a lot of people I've talked out of listings saying, hey, go one more year, you'll double your proceeds.
Sure.
Let's rent it. Don't sell it. You'll make X amount of money for the year.
Because you are the realtor for life. It's because you want that repeat business.
I want to help them with their plan. That's a better business model for me. I've been doing this for 30 years. And it's funny. I just had somebody call me
Let me give out your number real quick.
Go ahead.
Call Cleve Loveland right now at 407-352-8118. That's 407-352-8118. If you have questions for the loan arranger, you'd like to get pre-approved for your financing, we are the nation's largest retail lender. We lend in all 50 states. There's not a lender in the country that's got more programs or better rates than we do. 407-250-9144. That's 407-250-9144, or WeBringYouHome.com.
And then that's just, it's just making sure you're on top of what you're doing. But when you sign up with a realtor, I had somebody that signed a year listing contract. They thought that was normal.
Oh boy.
And then there was in the mice print, there was a 1% penalty to cancel it, which was like $4,000 on this house, on a $400,000 home. So be very, very careful on that.
It's almost extortion.
It is. And I've had people itemize the cancellation fee. And sometimes I can eat that cancellation fee on my side, depending on the listing. But I've seen people charge for signs and for photos and all this crazy stuff. It's like, you didn't get your job done. You didn't sell the house. It's what you were hired to do.
Right.
Why are you nickel and diming this poor seller that you did not succeed for? So anyway, any kind of real estate plans you have, you can always call me or go to cleveloveland.com. And then one thing, Bruce, I just think these rates here, even being in the 6s or 7s, when we do listings next segment, I want to go, I separated my listings into the starter home prices, the best prices. And that's the ones I think that will jump up. These are the houses that 5 years ago were 190.
Well, that's a good point.
And they jumped up to 330.
That's because, and these are the first time home buyer targeted.
These are the investment properties. These are the ones that rent
all you
best.
first time home buyers need to be taking note of that, because right now, I believe, because there's a abundance of inventory, which means there's more houses on the market, which means you have more opportunities as a buyer, and sellers have less buyers. So buyers are actually having an opportunity, but the average person is not aware that this is a buying opportunity. They look at it and go, rates went up, I'm going to wait a little bit longer. How much did prices go up in the last year over year? How much is our increase in our values
we haven't
right
dug
now?
into yet. How much time do we have, by the way?
We got 3.5 minutes.
Move the studio around. I can't see the clock anymore. All right. So right now, year over year, a year ago, September, median price was 370. It's now 380, up 2.7%.
Okay.
That's in a Sleepy Joe, ho hum. We love you.
Yeah, but nationally it's up 5%.
Yep. And then, but the joy economy that Kamala wants to talk about. All right. 8% average price. Year ago was 446. Average home 483.
So average home went up 8%.
And I think this is people kind of going, all right, rates are okay, but hey, I better get them now because they are going to get more expensive.
Sure they are.
And this is the thing I can't talk to you enough about. And you know what's funny is, Bruce, we had our Leapfrog seminar a couple of weeks ago. Those are the people I'm really seeing. I sat down with one of my landlords and went over his 3 properties that he's bought with me over the past 5 years. And he's up like $250,000 in equity.
Oh, fantastic.
And his rents are raising slowly. And we're going to talk about rents later in the show. But I just think this is one way you can't go wrong in real estate over the long haul. I mean, things have been crappy the past 2 years.
Listen, real estate
and
will
it's still going
always
up slowly.
make you money. When we have people come to us that are putting substantial amount of money down. Matter of fact, I just got off the phone call with one of my clients. They were putting 5% down because they haven't sold the condo that they want to sell to buy a different condo. Well, they got a cash offer. Okay. And they called me up and they're like, my cash offer doesn't close till the day after the closing of my new home. What do I need to do? Well, to see if you can get a 1-day extension. If you can't get a 1-day extension, we'll pay the loan down after you close. You can do that. But where did she get the money to put the 20% down? Real estate. It's always coming from real estate.
Now you said something there. Now, so that buyer is going to go, let's say they did have to close with 5% down and a week later they go to recast it. Will they lose their PMI when they recast?
Oh yeah,
awesome.
because you're eliminating. You've now got your 20% in equity.
And for recasting, tell everybody that's not a refi.
No, it's not.
That's something you guys do. I don't know anybody else that does that.
That's what we do is, if you are in a situation where you own a home now that you're going to sell after you purchase the new one, and then you want to sink a bunch more money in it, then you can always throw money on a mortgage because there's no prepayment penalty. But when you do that, it doesn't change the payment. So now what we do is we recast, so the payment is now reflective of the new balance. That's a recast. So Cross Country Mortgage does that. 407-250-9144. That's 407-250.
I think that's the wrong button, Bruce.
Or WeBringYouHome.com. WeBringYouHome.com. Cleve Loveland, 407-352-8118. 407-352-8118 or cleveloveland.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 5 minutes with more of the Loveland Report and the Lone Ranger Radio Show. Don't go anywhere.